Well, South Africa's new electricity minister, Dr. Kgosientso Ramokgopa, has emphasized the importance of exploring energy alternatives as the country grapples with continuous rolling blackouts. President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced changes to the cabinet, increasing the portfolios from 28 to 30. Ramokgopa will work with Eskom and other stakeholders on the urgent implementation of the Energy Action Plan. Now, let's discuss this further. We're now joined via Zoom by Thandile Chinyavanhu, climate and energy campaigner for Greenpeace Africa. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, ma'am. Now, you know, energy crisis is badly affecting the economy. We've seen the GDP levels released today. You know, firstly, your reaction to the appointment of Dr. Ramokgopa, and more importantly, what should he be addressing as a matter of urgency as the electricity minister?
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me. I think as a first matter, the minister needs to address how he's going to take us out of this crisis that we've been facing. South Africans are suffering experiencing stage 6 load shedding on a daily basis, and we need to see that there's a clear action plan that he is going to be following, and how he's going to be enacting it to allow us to have some reprieve from this experience of load shedding. As Greenpeace Africa, we are concerned with the history of this minister. As we're aware, he has a history in the city of Tshwane with irregular expenditure, and it's quite interesting that they've chosen to appoint someone with this history to helm one of the biggest crises we've ever faced as a country, and especially at our utility.
So, I mean, of course, a concern for those that are obviously concerned about his ability to resolve some of the issues that are needed for him to urgently resolve. Some of the concern is, you know, can he turn around a country without power at the moment? You know, the Minister of Resources and Energy, Gwede Mantashe, today saying that the new minister should actually start focusing on areas to increase the electricity availability factor. I mean, we know that several power stations across the country are just not performing optimally. So what do you think then he's suggesting?
I think that's another issue that needs to be clearly addressed. And one of the things we are, as Greenpeace Africa, highlighting is the necessity for the president to clearly delineate the roles between the Minister of Electricity and the Minister of the DMRE, as we anticipate that there may be tensions there. Way ahead of this announcement, we'd heard from the Minister of DMRE suggesting that this person may have more of a project manager role. So that's some clarity that we need to see as well. We would also like to see, as Minister Mantashe has mentioned in the past, the mention of the 20,000 megawatts that is laying idle. Confirmation of that is that in fact the case, and ensuring that they bring more renewable energy online to ensure that they can accommodate some of the shortfall that we have in our generation capacity.
You know, just mentioning, you know, Minister Mantashe, we know that, of course, your organization, Greenpeace Africa, disrupted, you know, his speech today, saying that, of course, that coal equals load shedding, coal equals corruption. Talk to us about that protest.
Yes, so a group of our very brave activists participated in a disruption of the energy indaba this morning during the minister's keynote address, and it was a huge success. I think we were able to really communicate our message to the minister, which was the reality of South Africans experiencing load shedding as a result of corruption and the role that coal plays in our energy mix and how it has translated into their daily lived experiences. So it is a very important message that we were able to share, and I think it was translated well. The minister received it as well, and we're hoping that they can recognize the role that renewable energy can play as the most immediate solution to our energy crisis, and be able to deploy that. So there's currently 13,500 megawatts of renewable energy that was envisioned up to date to have come online as a part of the IRP, and we haven't seen that come online yet. So we're just trying to encourage the minister and all the ministries that will be involved with ensuring that this renewable energy is brought online to do so in an immediate manner.
In fact, Minister Mantashe says that, he has done met some of his targets that he was supposed to meet as it relates to renewable energy. And he is, in line with doing that, So one of the concerns, of course, of the new Minister of Electricity is how that is just going to further add the bureaucracy around sorting out some of the energy crisis that we are currently seeing today, with the various ministers focusing on this. How do you think that government should go about this? Because the reality is we have to accept now that there is a Minister of Electricity.
Well, firstly, that isn't the reality. We are way behind schedule on the renewable energy that we should have up to date. We are as well also very far behind in terms of the decommissioning schedules for the coal-fired power stations. So the reality is that they have not performed as they should have and have communicated that they would perform. With regards to the work between the three ministries that are helmed by Minister Gordhan, Minister Ramokgopa, as well as Minister Mantashe. That is a very real concern that we have, that the bureaucracy may be a part of the reason that we're unable to move forward. We already saw last year that although there was renewable energy generation capacity that was ready to be brought online, there was discrepancies between the different departments in terms of being able to, who was at fault for not being able to bring this desired renewable energy online, and that ended up sitting idle for quite some time. So the transmission aspects are also ones that need to be addressed, and we need to ensure that these departments are able to work well together as opposed to working against one another. And we're hoping to see a lot more clear communication from President Ramaphosa as to how these ministries will interact with each other and ensure that they are productive as opposed to counterproductive.
What do you say then to comments, made by Minister Mantashe, but also supported by various other quarters, that the decision of cutting coal as an energy source is not Africa's decision, but that of the developed economies, and him saying that, we must resist with everything we have, we must develop our economy to the best of our ability. Are you concerned that those are not his only, viewpoints, that those are shared by some other political quarters as well?
Well, the reality is that our government, South Africa, has signed on to the Paris Agreement, which recognizes a common yet differentiated responsibility of the different signatories. So we've acknowledged that responsibility and the fair share that we are contributing in terms of our industrial emissions that have been responsible for landing us in this climate crisis, albeit a lot smaller in comparison to some global north countries. We have agreed and acknowledged our responsibility and have signed up to be able to commit to these climate commitments. And so it is quite concerning that the minister seems to view this as solely a European agenda and not something that South Africa has agreed to. But of course, it's something that we are concerned about. We are concerned about global north countries that have reneged on their agreements and continue to propagate coal. But ultimately, the solution that we're looking for is for all countries to be able to come to the party, as opposed to pointing fingers at one another and proposing more gradual approaches to this issue, as opposed to working together to ensure that the climate crisis is not exacerbated by our contributions, and that we find a common solution together.
Thandile, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Thandile Chinyavanhu is a climate and energy campaigner for Greenpeace Africa.